Hey guys, Greg White. I just wanted to take a little bit of time and talk to you a little bit about my story. What got me to where I am today, and what did that journey look like? And I just want to share with you. It's going to be a little bit tough for me. It's opening up some things that are pretty sensitive to me from a lifetime of kind of what I went through until I got to where I am today. But I've learned so much, so I really want to share that with you. I want to let you know kind of what that felt like for me. So I really only had one job my entire life. I spent 26 years at one company. Right out of college, I went to work. I knew I wanted to be in sales. I knew I wanted to be, around people. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed the chance to make, more money, and I couldn't find a sales job. But what I did was I went to work for a manufacturing company in kind of a customer service position. It really led into a sales job, and I worked really hard. I put a lot of effort in. I put a lot of time in, and that paid off. For many years, I sacrificed being with my family. I sacrificed, my kids' sporting events, things like that. I put a lot of hours in. So working massive number of hours a week, traveling a lot, but I climbed that ladder. I climbed that corporate ladder, so to speak. And I spent years doing that. And I perfected, the art of sales in my industry. And I actually moved all the way up to vice president of sales for the company, which was cool. It was really cool at the time. And it did require a lot of my time. It required a lot of travel, and what actually happened was, though, that turned into kind of a mundane thing as I went through that and grew in that position. It turned into stuff that wasn't a lot of fun. As the company would struggle, my job would become hard. When sales weren't great, my job was, everybody points at the VP of sales, of course, and that just became kind of mundane and not a lot of fun. On top of all that, I was traveling a lot, going to see customers, going to see sales reps, away from my family even more. My commute to work was an hour each way, so it just didn't feel good. It became kind of a thing where the weekend just would fly by because you were really not looking forward to going to work. So the weekends were fast, and Monday was really kind of brutal. On top of all that, I had a boss that really, we didn't jive perfectly together. Actually, it became really a struggle, and that's no fun, right? It's no fun to have a boss that makes you feel uncomfortable. I really didn't like the position that I was in. But after 26 years of spending a lot of time at work and putting in the blood, sweat, and tears and doing all those things to, better my company and help others and make my company a lot of money, after 26 years of doing that, I got fired. I got laid off. I got terminated. However you want to look at it, it was horrible. It was horrible because I'd put all my eggs in this basket, right? I wake up one morning and, I got laid off. Upper level management was making changes, and I was just a casualty of that. And, I remember waking up and thinking, golly, I've got a daughter in college. I've got a 21-year-old daughter that's in college. I'm paying her tuition. I have a handicapped son who has muscular dystrophy, and you can imagine the insurance bills for that. So I found myself worried about insurance. I had no pension with the company, so I'd planned on kind of the company being my retirement. So it was just a brutal awakening. It was a horrific time in my life, and I found myself really at the bottom of the barrel. And for me, it was a slap in the face. And I realized right then that I didn't want to ever be in that position again. And I think the easy out would have been to go take another job somewhere, get in that job search, get on LinkedIn, go through all that, go find another job and get back into that same situation. And for me, I didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that. I had an idea right then that I wanted to be my own boss from then out. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. my family's always been an entrepreneurial spirit. My dad was an entrepreneur. My brothers are all entrepreneurs. I don't know how I got away from that, but I feel like I really got away from my DNA. And so I decided at that moment that I wanted to be my own boss. And so I started, reading about things and learning from others and going along that journey to figure out how to be a successful entrepreneur. And I spent a lot of time doing that, but it really paid off. What I found was that I put mentors around myself. I found out what they were doing to be successful, and I listened to them. I think that's so imperative, to just listen to others that have been successful in being entrepreneurs and making a successful business and doing what they do. So in all this learning and being a sponge and just soaking all this information up, I found myself kind of drifting towards organizations around mentorship and entrepreneurship and organizations around how to be your own boss. And so that's what I did. And I got involved and I worked myself into positions where I could actually coach people around being an entrepreneur. So as my business actually started growing, so did my leadership skills in being an entrepreneur and teaching what I'd learned in getting out there and being my own boss. And actually, from that, I've taught many people some of the things that I've learned. I've been on stage more than 10 times in the last year, speaking to over thousands of people, literally, on entrepreneurship and what it takes to get out there and be your own boss. What are those secrets to being successful? I've got several hacks that I've learned to actually be different than everybody else. And it's really just, it's amazing when you get behind behind the curtain to see kind of actually what works in that marketing, what works in that developing new relationships and learning about entrepreneurship. And it's just really exciting. It's exciting to coach other people. And so I really get a lot out of that. But from that epiphany of realizing I wanted to be an entrepreneur, I actually went right into starting my own business, plugging in these mentorships and these things that I learned into making money right away. I actually never went without making money after being fired from my job. I really didn't expect that. I expected to take a year, 8 months, building a business plan, building a marketing plan, finding out where I get customers. And the key is to put yourself around people that can teach you that, people that have that in place, and that's out there. And that's what I really want to do. I want to help people with that, help people understand what are those things you have to do. You're going to run into conflict, and I did. I ran into conflict early on. You're going to run into, no one's going to really be behind you. It's funny. Human nature is, even the people you love, I found this to be really disturbing, but I call it the crabs in a bucket. If you've got a bunch of crabs in a bucket and one guy just finally, little crab just works his way up and he crawls all the way to the top and he's finally got the edge of the top of the bucket. You know what's going to happen? Those other crabs that are running around down there saying, oh, no, it's better down here. They're going to grab that crab and pull him right back down into the bucket. And life is just like that. And you've got to get past that. So those little things like that and being around people that know that what you're doing is right. It's hard. But at first that was a real challenge for me because you have to get your voice and you have to be confident, because confidence turns into success, I believe. And so you have to get past those naysayers that are gonna be in your life, and you have to move on beyond that and just know that you're gonna be successful. And eventually they're gonna get on the train because they're gonna see you succeeding, and then they're gonna want to know what you did to succeed. It's invariable. That's always gonna happen. But I did have that conflict, and then the other thing that I decided was that it is going to take a lot of work at first. Nothing is easy. If anybody tells you you've got a get-rich scheme or a get-rich system, I just don't believe in that. I think everything that you do that's worthwhile is going to take hard work, and maybe not hard work, but at least smart work. And I think that's what I like to coach. I like to tell people that, you know, I like to draw an analogy to that rocket ship, right? It's like, so a rocket ship, if you can just imagine a rocket ship, you know, boosting off into the atmosphere, right? And I heard this analogy from a good friend of mine who's a mentor for me in marketing around entrepreneurship. He's a brilliant guy. And this analogy just makes total sense to me. But think about that space shuttle getting, you know, blasted into orbit, right? It takes all this massive energy when it takes off. And you can just imagine all this, you know, force and power to get this thing up and into the atmosphere. And then when it reaches space, when it finally breaks through the atmosphere, it takes no energy to keep going faster than you can imagine. 17,000 miles an hour, just a little jet push, and it just is going to keep going into orbit. Well, business is a lot like that. Starting an entrepreneurship is very similar to that. It takes massive energy up front. And I think that's one of my number one things that I like to coach is that if you'll spend your time early in entrepreneurship working really diligently and not making excuses and staying in that time management mode and working on the things that you know are going to make you successful, then at the end, it's going to give us more time to do the things we want. Time to be with family. For me, it's time to work out, time to play golf, time to spend time with my family. I've got a 4-year-old now, and I get to spend time with her, going to her sporting events, and I think that's just really what it's all about. And I've had success this year. I just want to, you know, it's been a great year. My business, my entrepreneurship, I'm in a drone services business, and I do drone services from an inspection, industrial inspection, to cinematography and videography, and it's been awesome. And I've used a lot of these methods that I've learned in my teachings to grow my business. And so I went from 0 to a 6-figure business easily within 1 year, and we're having massive growth beyond that. And it's just awesome to see that. I've also just enjoyed the opportunity from growing my business and all the people I meet to be able to teach what I've learned to others. And that's really, I think, what I'm passionate about and what I want to do is help others learn what I've learned to be successful, because entrepreneurship gives us so much freedom and we can make so much more money, and you can build a legacy for yourself. And that's what it is for me. I guess if you were to boil it all down to what is it for you, for me, it's not just about making money, because I want to make money. Everybody wants to make money, but I can go get a job tomorrow and make money. It's not about that. For me, it's about the freedom to do it the way I want to do it so that I'm in control of my destiny and I'm not at the whim of somebody else. And also just building my own legacy for my family. That to me is really important, and it drives home what I do, why I get up every morning. I want to get up and build that legacy, and I want to build everything I can into being my own boss and building that legacy. And so that's really important. So in the coming months ahead, I'm working on developing this program, and I'm going to be putting it out to you, and I want to share that with you, and it's going to be built on some key things. And for me, some of those key things are really like, number one, starting a new business, you've got to take massive action. You've got to take massive action, and you've got to do it on a daily basis. So you've got to get into a routine of doing that business activity daily. I call it revenue generating activities, and that's really what I want to talk about in my coaching going forward. It's how to spend time doing the things that aren't fun, usually at first, which is revenue generating activity, and not doing the things that you tend to go do. You know, like when you start a new business, putting that logo together, getting the LLC put together, finding, you know, all those little things that you go do because they're easy. It's what you want to do. But I say we got to work hard on revenue generating activity, RGAs, and just keep saying that mantra, RGAs, RGAs, and ask yourself every day, is what you're doing a revenue generating activity? And if it's not, don't do it. The next thing that I think is massively important is striking out that word right there. I don't know if you can see that, but it says fear. Fear is, it can be good. Fear is good. I think, you're going to learn from me that you're always going to have fear. But if that fear is holding you back from taking that massive action, if that fear is keeping you from doing those revenue generating activities, it will kill you. So we have to learn to get comfortable with the uncomfortable. And I think that is key. I think it may be the number one thing that actually made me successful in my entrepreneurship is that I don't wait until everything's lined up and everything's perfect and I know how to do everything. See, a lot of people have a tendency to want to make sure everything is just perfect. I know how to do everything. I've got everything organized and lined up. And I say do the opposite of that. I say go out and do it. You're going to make mistakes. It's okay. You're learning. And in entrepreneurship, we have to constantly be getting better. And I'm going to have fear down the road just like I had fear at the beginning. Fear looks different for everybody, and it looks different at different points in your life. So what was fearful for me in month one of my entrepreneurship and my business is completely different now. I may have been really scared of going and making that pitch to a small company on making a commercial video for their business or an inspection for a small company, and it was a $400 deal or something. And now, of course, I don't have fear around that. But now maybe I have fear at this point in my business about doing a $5 million contract for a $1 billion company. Of course, that's going to make me a little nervous, but I'm going to get past that. I'm not going to let it keep me from going out and being successful. And so, taking action and striking out fear are two of the real mantras that we're gonna coach in our coaching going forward. And I want to keep talking about that because I think it's massively important. I wanted to record this today just because I wanted you to understand kind of where I came from and how I went from really what I think was the bottom of the barrel after putting so much of my life. I'm 52 years old now. I know I don't look it, no, but after putting so much of my life into one thing and then having it just pulled out from under me and realizing I don't have anything. I'm not going to do that again. So I want to share my journey with you on how not to do that. And like I have done this whole year and learning from others about how to do that, I want to share it with you. So that's what this is going to be about. Sharing my successes, my wins, what I've learned, and my hacks into learning how to be a successful entrepreneur. And I really hope you'll join Adam and I on this. Adam is in the same boat. His story is not the same as mine. Everybody's story is different, but he's a smart guy, and we share a lot of the same, common threads in our teaching and our beliefs. And I really hope you watch Adam's story. I hope you stay in tune with our channel, watch my stories. We move along. We're just going to post things from time to time that tell you a little bit more about what we're doing as things become organized for us. So I really just ask that you just please follow the channel, subscribe down below, like the video if you like it, and subscribe to our channel. We just want to build up that viewership, and so that we can help touch other people's lives like our lives have been changed. So thanks so much for watching. I know this is a little longer video. We'll usually have a topic. I've got ideas in the future about doing some things. We might do 2-Minute Tuesdays or just some good things. And it always won't be about entrepreneurship. It may be something different in my life that I'm going to coach on or teach on or talk to you about. Fitness is very important to me. Training for for golf, which is I take very seriously, is important to me. And just my views about how I do that might be kind of interesting to you, because I think it all kind of comes together in one place. And it could be anything for you. It could be something else. And so you don't have to just be into what I'm into to understand kind of the analogy that we're drawing to that. So thanks for listening. I hope you'll come back and stay in touch with us. Follow us on Facebook at 20X Secrets, and subscribe and like below. Thanks a lot.